takes a lot of axles to build an 18-wheeler, 5 to be exact. We went over to my buddy Roger, who has a scrapyard, and located 5 axles that were going to be suitable for the project. Now it's time to get in, cut them up, and make them fit our new project. These are Chevy dually rear axles. We're going to go ahead and cut off all the existing bracketry and weld in all the new suspension mounts. So there are several different ways we could go about removing the bracketry off of our junkyard axles. We could use a grinder with a cut-off wheel, we could use an acetylene torch, or we could use a handheld plasma like I have here. The nice thing about the handheld plasma is that we can put a gouge tip that will allow us to go ahead and just remove the factory weld without cutting into the axle tube or leaving ourselves a ton of cleanup work afterwards. As you can see here, I just removed this bracket and there's very little grinding left to do. That way, we get this done quick and get on to the rest of the project. The term COE stands for cab over engine, meaning that the original factory engine was right underneath the floorboards of the cab. Our new power plant and transmission are going to be much larger and are not going to fit underneath the floorboards. We're going to relocate those right behind the rear cab. In order to support that effectively, we're going to build an entire new frame rail system out of 2x8-inch box tubing and tie it in with cross members. So for this project to be a true 18-wheeler, it needs to have tandem dually axles located behind the cab. In order to have our engine and transmission fit behind the cab of the COE, the middle axle is going to have to be modified extensively to allow room for the Allison transmission. Jake is going to take the center axle and completely re-sleeve it with new 1/4-inch wall, 4-inch diameter tubing to allow room for our Allison transmission. So a little trick when you're welding up either round tubing or square tubing, you can use the weld seam as a reference point. When I measured and cut all of my miters, I used that as the long or short end. That way I could line up all of those weld seams again when I put it back together and make sure that the pieces align properly. So we're going to go ahead and make up the axles for the tanker trailer portion of our Chevy C.O.E. project. We went ahead and cut the rear end out of a Chevy truck and the scrapyard. We're going to go ahead and weld these ends into our new tubing so we have the right width for our rear axles. So the suspension on this Rat Rod 18-wheeler is comprised with several different components from different companies. The control arms are BDS control arms from a Dodge Ram 3500 that have been heavily modified. The JKS track bars are builder units that come with everything you need to make up your own track bar to the desired length.
So when we got our rear suspension in from BDS, we got our control arms in. We had to figure out how are we going to link these up. We went to the drawing board and we came out with a design of tabs that we would weld to the frame. I went over to our Maverick CNC table. It took 10 minutes to draw up everything I needed. So we got all of our tabs cut out, we got everything mounted, and it saved us a lot of time with this plasma table from Maverick. It's a wonderful thing to have in a shop. Growing up with torches and grinders, you learn to appreciate a piece of equipment like that, and I'm honored to have it.
In order to slam this rat rod super low, we're using a RideTech air ride system comprised of 10 airbags, a controller, compressors, and air tanks.
We have a super strong front end that articulates its own bags.
We're going to be able to lay this thing on the ground. It's going to blow your mind.